You want me to put that on my todger?
Coronation Special, Part 3. What would she do? Hello, I'm HG Tudor, and I'm helping you understand more about the way narcissists think and operate by utilising Harry's wife as the prominent example. She's not going to the coronation, but that doesn't mean that she's going to sit at home and not participate in some shape or form. Her narcissism demands that she deals with this threat to control. It demands that she ensures that she brings the spotlight back onto her. And of course, there are a range of narcissistic manipulations that she can utilize for the purpose of doing so. And I, as a provider of information about narcissism and psychopathy, enable you to understand what those manipulations may well be. I've explained previously that she might drop the narc bomb. But there's also the possibility that she might engage in a great big dose of triangulation with person or event. Triangulation is used regularly by narcissists. We might triangulate you with another person, we may triangulate you with an event, we might triangulate you with an object. When it comes to the triangulation with a person, we may do it in a benign way. So, for example, we talk about the fact that you are amazing and we're so glad that we married you because our ex-wife was a witch and a harlot. Or we may triangulate you in a malign way, whereby we say to you, I don't know why I married you. I should have stayed with my ex. She was fragrant and amazing and such a great lover. You poured poison in my ear. You pulled me away from her. And thus, you're malignly triangulated with the narcissist ex. Why is this done? Well, as always, it's to link with the prime aims. It's done to control you by provoking you into responding in a particular way and causing you to provide fuel. Sometimes it's done rather subtly. The narcissist brings up that other person. Sometimes the person doesn't actually exist. That mythical individual from work that's often spoken about, but it's done to make you jealous, that you fear losing the narcissist because they're talking about somebody else. Early on in the golden period, it's done to make you feel special and wanted and magnificent, that you're set apart from everybody else, that you are absolutely amazing because you've been placed upon that pedestal. But when you're in devaluation, it's done to provoke sensations of jealousy and envy in you, to make you upset, to make you feel guilty, so that you'll try harder to please and appease us, thus fountaining with more fuel, possibly providing more character traits, and of course residual benefits, that you'll put out more often, giving us fuel from doing so, and also the residual benefit of the pleasure that is experienced from it. Triangulation with an event is invariably done for the purposes of either causing you to feel bad about not going to something. Well, if you'd agreed with me, we'd have been basking in the sunshine now in Mauritius. But oh no, you wanted to stay and do this. Thus you're made to feel guilty, causing you to react. In other instances, it is done to cause envy, so that you show to somebody else, oh look, you could have been invited to this fantastic dinner party, but you weren't. With an object, we triangulate with so many, banging on about our new car to provoke either an admiring response from you or seething envy, talking about the new house, new piece of jewellery, flashing that piece of jewellery as a reminder that we still wear it to get to you. Harry's wife has done that repeatedly, of course, with regard to the Cartier bracelet and triangulating Trevor Engelson with it, of course, only to the extent that he happens to notice it. And only recently I've explained to you about the way that she attempted a fuck you to Charles in relation to no longer wearing the bracelet that she purchased for him as a that he purchased for her, rather, as a wedding gift. The fact is that Harry's wife may well triangulate viewers, listeners, readers, the royal family, people in general, and the press with the fact that it's Archie's birthday on the same day as the ceremony of the coronation. She may well look to ensure that there are repeated puff pieces across every conceivable outlet, talking about a bouncy castle and balloons and jelly and ice cream, whatever it might be, in order to have that talked about. A child's birthday party going head-to-head with a coronation, well, people will talk about it, because invariably there'll be some supporters who'll go, oh, how wonderful, and of course those idiotic sugars are engaging in an online birthday party for a person that they've never met. Others will, of course, comment about it, saying how pathetic. She has to try and gain that attention by talking about the birthday party, rather than just having the birthday party, getting on with it, doing so quietly, doing so that Archie can enjoy his day. How many other parents make a song and dance on an international level about their child's birthday? Very few. But we all know that Harry's wife would do so as a consequence of her need to get that attention, to draw that fuel. However, it might not just be the birthday party that's utilised for the purposes of triangulation, in terms of triangulation with event. It might be that, for instance, there's a sudden reconciliation with her father, that she uses that to gather some headline news, or that concocts some mercy dash to his bedside because he's on his way out. And therefore, we hear through the leaking of information and probably the provision of the information from the relevant lieutenants, the improbably placed plastic-faced Omid Scobie, chief amongst them, telling us that she engaged in a mercy dash to get to his bedside because he'd suffered another heart attack, or that he'd got some kind of chest infection or whatever. The fact is, there's a good chance that Harry's wife will utilise an event, real or imagined, most likely to either be Archie's birthday, because we know that it is his birthday, and that there'll be some form of celebration for it, or that she will concoct some kind of emergency event, most likely to do with possibly her father, for the purposes of then triangulating everybody else with said event to provoke a response from them. Narcissists commonly triangulate with the event to ensure that you respond. So you might be envious of it, you might be jealous of the fact that that person is dealing with that event rather than dealing with you. It might be done to turn heads. It might be done to cause people to go, wow. It might be done, of course, people go, what the hell are you doing hosting that kind of event in a direct clash? It's quite common for some narcissists, when they learn that somebody else, for instance, is holding a barbecue that's been established in the diary for some time, they decide that they're going to hold one as well, in an attempt to outshine and outgun your offering, inviting the friends that were going to attend your event to theirs, but making it look more glamorous and more entertaining so that you lose out. Here, there is a strong chance that Harry's wife will triangulate by way of event. And to help you understand more about the way that the narcissist triangulates, I'm now going to segue into a video about permanent triangulation and triangulation with an X, to help you understand more about the way that a narcissist uses triangulation. Permanent triangulation by the narcissist. One is never enough for us. Two or more are required. When we commence our seduction of you and launch those missiles towards you, bearing love, passion, and desire, we repeatedly tell you that you are the one. You are the only one that we want. All of our life we have waited for this moment to be with the one, you. The singularity of number meets singularity of purpose. One is all that we want. We tell you this, we text you this, and we do so repeatedly in order to put you on that pedestal. The world may as well just be populated by you and me. Nobody else matters. All we want is you and you alone. The effect of such words makes you feel extremely special, revered and worshipped, and it feels wonderful, doesn't it? Being the sole recipient of our attention, such wonderful, dedicated and loving attention is uplifting, joyful, and magnificent. Some time ago, I saw a quote from Robert A. Heinlein, which involved the concept of kissing. Essentially, this quote referred to the fact that when most people kiss, they are not putting their all into it. They have other things on their mind. They might be worrying about work. They know they have to put the rubbish out. They are wondering what is for dinner, and as a consequence that person's kiss is nowhere near as it should be, because that person has distractions. The person they are kissing does not have their total attention. There is considerable merit in such a proposition. What we, as narcissists, do, however, is make you think that nobody else matters, that you are the only person that we are kissing, have ever kissed, and will ever kiss again. We make you the centre of our universe, and you believe it. Yet the reality is that whilst we exhibit this singularity of attention upon you, we have so many other people in mind. The triangulation is always there. Understand that when you are with one of our kind, there is never a time when it is just you and me. There is always you, me, and her, or him, or them. Your dynamic with us is not exclusive. It never is. Even in the golden period for the intimate partner primary source, there must be others involved in the games that we play. You are shared throughout the entirety of your relationship with us, from the beginning until, well, forever. I do not necessarily mean that we will be engaged in a sexual relationship with someone else when we are in the relationship with you, but the fact is that when you think that it is just you and I, there's far more going on than you will realize. But I, of course, will share this with you. At the outset, when the narcissist is seducing you, we make you feel like the only girl in the world. However, there will be at least two other dynamics ongoing. The first is that I will be embarking on a campaign of devaluation against the incumbent intimate partner primary source, where that person exists, and in most cases they do. I might even tell you about them, as I explain how horrible and abusive that person is, or that they don't understand me, or no, we don't have sex anymore, she thinks my clothes are painted on. With the higher echelon narcissists, there may also be malign follow-up hoovers going on against a former intimate partner primary source, if the need arises. We may even tell you about the disgraceful behaviour of that individual and how we are having to protect our interests, and if this person should speak to you, don't listen to them. They're crazy. More usually, it is you as the new star of the show, the shelf intimate partner primary source, dirty little secret, or even possibly at this stage, the candidate intimate partner secondary source, and alongside you, the incumbent, but now being devalued, intimate partner primary source. This second dynamic is, at the outset, is the fact that we may also be working on another prospect as well as you. Thus, we may be devaluing the primary source, flirting with you as a secondary source of an intimate nature, and may have another intimate partner secondary source as another iron in the fire. Triangles within triangles. In the extremely unlikely event that you ever had access to the narcissist's mobile phone and you looked in the messages, you would very well see something like this. Message to you, 1948. I cannot stop thinking about you. What have you done to me? I love it, though. I cannot wait to see you tomorrow, even though it is too long to wait for my aching heart. Message to her, 1950. I cannot stop thinking about you. What have you done to me? I love it, though. I cannot wait to see you tomorrow, even though it is too long to wait for my aching heart. There may even be message to her, number 2, 1952. I cannot stop thinking about you. What have you done to me? I love it, though. I cannot wait to see you tomorrow, even though it is too long to wait for my aching heart. Notoriously greedy for fuel, and wary of the effects of not receiving the same, our narcissism has to ensure that we have other targeted prospects in hand. In this instance, 3 people all receive the same message. Because we don't actually distinguish between you as human beings, you are all appliances. You may become the chosen one as the primary source of the prime aims, but the others will not necessarily be cast into oblivion forever. They will be retained as friends, who rank as high-producing secondary appliances, continuing to provide fuel, even though there is no intimacy ongoing, because we are now in the golden period with you as the intimate partner primary source. You think that you have us to yourself. Of course, that's the impression that we will give, and during that golden period, we will not cheat on you. We may have nothing to do with those now shelved intimate partner secondary sources, or we may just interact with them in a friendly way. We continue to treat you well as the intimate partner primary source, but we may well be doling out malign hoovers to the person that you have replaced. We will continue to triangulate individuals because there is never truly just one person. You might be triangulated with non-intimate secondary sources, where we compare you to friends, favourably or unfavourably. We may compare you to previous intimate partners, primary sources, favourably or unfavourably, dependent upon what stage you are at the dynamic. There is always the potential to be a third, fourth, fifth person within the relationship. During the golden period, it may seem that there is just you and I, and as the embedded intimate partner primary source, the focus is on you. But that doesn't mean that others will not enter the picture. Shelved intimate partner secondary sources may contact us, and we throw them some comfort crumbs, having no need of any intimate interaction with them because we now have you as our shiny new plaything. If the former intimate partner primary source continues to put themselves in the firing line, trying to cause trouble for us, trying to get answers from us, perhaps trying to get money from the narcissist, then the former intimate partner primary source will either be ignored, or we will tell you about their despicable behaviour, thus triangulating them with you, and we may well provide them with malign follow-up hoovers for the purpose of ensuring that they are kept under control and that we are able to continue extracting negative fuel from that predecessor in the meanwhile. Then, without warning, you, as the intimate partner primary source, move from golden period to devaluation. You have your suspicions that we are playing away. Indeed, we are, as we use these secondary sources that we have kept warm. We may go and find new ones. There will be others as we find additional people to draw into our network, as we play them off against you, comparison after comparison. You will find that you are compared to these people, to friends and family, and always found to be wanting, as we press the devaluation against you. After this horrendous time, you may then find yourself cast to one side with a callous disengagement, and then you're replaced with somebody else. How did that happen so quickly? How were we able to move on with unseemly haste and find someone else, and we now declare our love for, easily? You were being triangulated, though you may not even realised it, and they were waiting in the wings all along. Now disengaged from, you will find that you're still involved in the dynamic, as, if you continue to get in the way of our new shiny golden period, with the new intimate partner primary source, we will play you against the replacement. You may be smeared, but even not know that it's going on, but you're still being triangulated with, as we declare to our new intimate partner primary source how happy we are with them, and that we're so pleased that they are not like you, the lunatic that we escaped from. In certain instances, if you have the misfortune to be the recipient of a very rare malice campaign, we will continue to draw negative fuel from you. And then, when the new person enters devaluation, we suddenly benign hoover you to try and make you the apple of our eye again, as your short-lived replacement is cast aside. A period of vacillation may follow, as we lift you up and then smash you down again. You are sat on one end of a seesaw. As you go up, she goes down, and vice versa. We stand in the centre, straddling this seesaw, at the epicentre of the triangle, and gobbling up all of the fuel that is pouring from you both. As the intimate partner primary source, you will always find that there is somebody else involved in the dynamic of our relationship. It doesn't mean that we'll be cheating on you, certainly not during the golden period. But there is always somebody else, whether intimate, although we're not acting with them in an intimate way, or entirely non-intimate, that you will be triangulated with. The addition of an extra player in the game happens throughout all of our assertions of control and the gathering of fuel. We set family member against family member, our brothers against our sisters, one parent against another. We treat one child as golden and another as a pariah, as we have them compete for our blessing and affection. We pit one colleague against another, as they vie for that promotion which lies in our gift.
We have friend fighting against friend in order to spend time with us at the expense of the other. We enter the online realm and have people backbiting, clashing and competing, all through a few keystrokes on the keyboard. We can never be satisfied with it being just you and me. We always have to involve others, and that involvement cannot always be harmonious. There must be competition in order for the control to be asserted and the fuel to flow. Never think that we are dedicated to just you. Our need for control, our need for the prime aims does not allow it. There is always someone else, despite what we may tell you. It doesn't mean we're cheating, but there will be the involvement with other individuals where you are being triangulated. If you are ever able to ascertain the full extent of our machinations and schemes, you will see so many lines radiating away from us, connecting us to you, to her, and to many others, with lines running between the unknowing and knowing until it looks like an extremely complex organogram on the wall of an incident room in a police station. With the narcissist, it is a permanent triangulation. But invariably, you do not realize this. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening. Triangulation. The X. When you entangle with our kind in a romantic dynamic, it is very rare indeed if you don't find yourself hearing about our ex. Whether it's the ex-wife, the ex-boyfriend, or the ex-partner, the subject of the ex is one which will appear with considerable frequency. Indeed, you may not even meet this person, but you will feel that you know them almost as well as you know yourself, the amount of time that we spend talking about them to you. Recognize that the mention of the ex is triangulation and is a method of asserting control over you and also over them, directly as against you, indirectly as against them. At the outset of your ensnarement, it is highly likely that we were already in a romantic relationship with somebody else. You may not initially be told about them. We may reference them because we utilize their existence as a magnifying factor to increase our opportunity to control you and draw fuel from you, and thus bind you to us. It might be that their existence is then referred to once you are ensnared, when we instinctively realize that you're not going to back away. Or we may even refer to them almost as an afterthought when we have disengaged from them and have made you the intimate partner primary source. Whether we tell you that we are married, or we keep the existence of a significant other until afterwards, and then we fudge precisely when we broke up with them, it's not a matter that we consider as especially relevant. We will utilize the existence of the ex as and when we deem fit, and, if appropriate, dismiss their existence in order to assert control over you, and dismiss their existence to prevent it affecting our control over you. What matters is that the ex is an appliance, a tool, by which we can control you and them, and thus you will repeatedly have mention made of them. During your golden period with us, be it when we have targeted you and you're in the seduction, or that we have embedded you, and thus this is when you're intimate partner secondary source, candidate intimate partner secondary source, or intimate partner primary source, our ex will be painted well and truly black. They are the enemy, the hateful traitor and wretch that failed us. We will tell you how this person is a truly terrible person. The immediate ex, or he or she who is about to become the ex, is the person that is invariably spoken about the most, because they will most likely be coming up on our radar, either because we are still spending time with them, or if we've disengaged from them, that individual might be trying to contact us to get answers, etc., sort out finances, find out why on earth we treated them that way. And therefore, they will cause repeated Hoover triggers. And part of mentioning them to you is enabling us to assert control over them and you. Many other exes, however, may well make an appearance as well, especially if we want to portray ourselves as a superhero for enduring them, or a poor done-to martyr, dependent upon the relevant type of narcissist. The narcissist, in seeking to control you, uses the existence of the ex and the perceived behavior of that ex to control you. Your response will provide fuel and signal that you are coming under our control. both generally and, of course, in the moment. Therefore, reference is made to that ex with the following labels. 1. The crazy bitch. She is wild, unpredictable, and clearly cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. We tried to help, to be understanding and make them see that there was something wrong with them, but despite our best endeavours, she just couldn't see it. She had no insight, and whatever we did was thrown back in our faces. Facade management. False compassion. Pity play. 2. Controlling ogre. He never let us do anything. Pity play. Always checking where we were, who we were with, what we had been doing. We felt like a tracking device had been placed on us, and everything we wanted to do was a battle beforehand. Pity play. 3. The addict. Whether it was drink, benzos, weed, expensive shopping habits, gambling, junk food, it didn't matter. This person had a terrible addiction, smearing, which of course we tried to help them, false angel, false compassion, and everything we wanted to do wouldn't help them. 4. Jealous lunatic. He was always accusing us of having affairs, projection and blame shifting, seeing other men, triangulation, flirting and being obsessed with the attention of others, smearing. 5. A narcissist. The ex was definitely one of these. The real narcissist might have read about it and therefore, through their narcissistic lens, sees that individual as a narcissist. Or they might have, the real narcissist was called it by the true victim and therefore commandeers the use of that to throw it back in the true victim's face. And this meant that he or she was an awful person to us. Oh, the stories we could tell you about this terrible condition, and indeed we will. Pity play, smearing. 6. Violent abuser. He or she would attack me. Pity play. I had to call the police so many times to deal with them. A passerby once had to rescue me after he started to punch me in the street. Exaggeration. I'm a big fellow, I can handle myself, but it was still unpleasant to have someone you love kick you in the balls. Pity play. 7. Obsessed. She just wouldn't give me any space to be myself, and even now, even though I've told her that it's over, she won't leave me alone. Grandiosity. Pity play. I don't mean to frighten you, false compassion, but she's probably stalking me at the moment. She just can't seem to accept that it is an end. Smearing. 8. Criminal. He was up to all manner of criminal enterprises. Smearing. Stealing cars, selling drugs, burglary. It was just too much. I don't know why he did all of this when I was earning enough money for the two of us. Grandiosity. But he just kept going, and in the end it was too much when he tried to get me involved. 9. Adam's family. She was just odd. Her family had to be with us all the time. We moved in with them to save rent, but then we finally got somewhere of our own, and every time I got home from work, some member of her extended family would be there, and it was like there was always at least 3 of us in the relationship, and, well, I'm sure they were just a bit too loving and close, if you know what I mean. Smearing, triangulation. There are plenty more additional labels which I'm sure that you can add. The fact is, however, you will find we will talk about this person with daily regularity, treating you to the latest anecdote about this person's aberrations and anomalous behaviours. You receive a forensic examination of what this person said and did, as we recall it in all such detail that you can see it in all of your mind. This is our narcissism allowing us to remember this detail in pin-sharp crikey vision for the purposes of controlling you. The harping on about the ex, of course, is done for several purposes. 1. In some instances, drawing sympathy from you, which is fuel over how we have been treated. 2. Appealing to your empathic traits to soothe us, help us and love us after this awful experience. Provision of fuel, binding you to us. 3. Appealing to your desire to outdo your previous competitor by showing that you are a far better partner than that person, and thus in turn we gain more benefits, fuel, control, etc. from your increased desire. 4. Making us look like a good person to have tried to help the ex, veneer and facade management. 5. Making us look like a decent person to have persevered, veneer and facade management. 6. To cause you to dislike the ex so that you will respond in a hostile manner should your paths cross with them. 7. To ensure the ex has no credibility if they attempt to go down the route of trying to warn you about us. 8. To create a ready excuse for any poor behaviour we might exhibit should the mask slip. I'm sorry, it's clear that I'm traumatised after how Kate treated me. 9. To draw fuel from you in terms of your sympathy, your anger, your support, your hatred of what that person has apparently done to us. 10. To support the smearing which we will have done as we prepare to disengage from that previous IPPS. Remember, all of this is done in a calculated and aware manner as a consequence of the behaviour of the greater or ultra, and is instinctive and unaware where lesser or mid-range. At first, you will actually be pleased to hear about these daily bulletins briefing against your former competitor, as that actually serves to quash any fears that you might have that we will go back to them, or that we might succumb to an approach by that person to win us back. The more you hear us pour scorn on them, the happier you tend to feel and the more secure you become. What you don't realise is that this is a manipulation. We will talk about them as we secure your allegiance to us, always reminding you of this spectre that promises to be the ghost at the feast. Once you've been embedded, then often we will cease to talk about them because we have effectively deleted them from our minds as a consequence of the embedded golden period we are now enjoying with you. However, if there is a reason for them to keep appearing in our sphere of influence, for instance, the ex keeps contacting us to understand why we disengage from them, to sort out the return of property, to attend to child contact arrangements, to address matters appertaining to a divorce, then we will of course keep mentioning them because we have to assert control over them and keep you under control because we perceive that their continued involvement might be a threat to our control of you. We actually have no interest in engaging with them because we don't need fuel from them, character traits or residual benefits. We're getting that from you, but they are threatening our control of both them and you, and therefore we have to respond. Sometimes that will mean that we will ignore them and smear them to you. Sometimes it means that we will dole out a malign hoover as against the ex alongside smearing them to you. Accordingly, the daily bulletins, smears, insults and so forth about the ex will follow this pattern. 1. Extensive mention as we start our seduction with you as the soon-to-be ex enters the final stages of devaluation and then disengagement. 2. Continued mention once you are embedded if the ex keeps appearing in our sphere of influence. 3. Mention effectively halts once the ex stays out of the way and the embedded golden period commences. There might be the occasional mention of the ex where they've just popped into our heads and our narcissism deems it not appropriate to hoover them, and instead we assert control over them by a slight smear of them to you. Reaching point 3, however, means you will have experienced plenty of discussion and observations about the ex, as everything has been picked over in minute detail. If there was a word cloud for this period of time between us, you and the ex would rival one another for primacy. Yet this frequent mention of the ex is not yet over. Once your devaluation as IPAPS begins, and it will, then the ex or other exes will start to be mentioned or mentioned again. But of course, all of the slurs, smears and insults will now have been wiped away, instinctively, for lesser and mid-range, in a calculated fashion by greater or ultra, because now, since you're painted black, your ex or exes will be seen in a white light compared to your position. Accordingly, you will be compared and contrasted to this ex on a daily basis, and in the following ways, as they are referred to in some of the more descriptions. 1. The only one. She was the only one who truly understood me, and now I want her back. This is being done in order to make you jealous, to triangulate you, to make you feel insecure, to draw fuel from you, to assert control over you. 2. The super sex god. He was dynamite between the sheets. If only I could get that excitement back once again, compared to the damp squib that you are. Criticism. Triangulation. Insult. 3. Mum of the year. She's so good with the children. Far better than you, wicked stepmother. Of course, the children may well back this up, either because they truly think that, hardly a revelation, or they have been manipulated by us to think this way of you. 4. Domestic goddess. You know, she had this house shining and tidy, great dinners on the table, and always looked great. But look at you. You're a mess, you can't cook, and the house is a tip. What have I done choosing you? 5. Cash king. Boy, he worked hard, brought in good money and looked after me. What do you do? Nothing, or you've a poorly paid job compared to him. 6. The saint. She would never have treated me the way that you do. You conned me into going off with you, and you lured me away from a wonderful woman. I hate you for it. 7. Clean living. He looks after his body, eats properly, doesn't drink much, and look at the way you go on eating junk and smoking. You ate 1 burger in the last 6 months and smoked maybe 2 cigarettes a day, but it doesn't matter because of the black and white thinking. All of this exhibits triangulation, insult, revision of history, as now painted black, everything about you that was good is forgotten about, and you are treated and compared unfavourably to the ex, all designed because they're now painted white and you're painted black. Again, there were many more labels for the person who was once the devil incarnate, but is now back on the pedestal. To compound matters, when you try to point out how we labelled them and referred to all of the ex's awful behaviours, that threatens our control. We will deny it or fall back onto a different manipulation, and we will accuse you of making things up, being jealous, projecting your own behaviours and so forth, which will leave you hurt and utterly bewildered as to what is going on. You cannot understand how we are now praising the person that we once labelled an abuser. You cannot understand how we are now criticising you for the behaviours that we once praised. We will talk about going back to the ex, which will leave you dumbfounded when you point out that this person has done awful things, according to us. We will deny them, euphemize their impact, or refer to the fact that the ex has changed. Of course, this will then alert you to the fact that we've actually been engaging with them behind your back, which is often the case because we are now hoovering them in a benign way. If the ex is responding to our hoovers and is being seduced once again, then of course you know what is happening to you when we speak with them, don't you? Yes, that's right. We are giving you the labels we once gave to them as we talk about how you have conned us, how we were misled, how the new IPPS that is you actually told us lies about that former IPPS, and that we were taken in by them, i.e. it was not our fault. This harpy, this liar, this player pulled us away from you, and we're ever so sorry. Never our fault. Always someone else's. Triangulation is a major part of the narcissistic dynamic. It allows for two strong fuel lines. It causes parties to fight over us. And it makes them work harder to keep us or draw us away when they perceive there is a threat. It is an excellent manipulation which delivers time and time again. I have come across this on repeated occasions in consultations where someone has been identified as a narcissist and they've gone off with someone else, and notwithstanding the fact that I have explained that this is a form of manipulation, that they will end up in devaluation, the spurned party still feels the need to fight and go to war against the other victim rather than the narcissist. Such is the misunderstanding of narcissism and the misleading effect of emotional thinking. Triangulation. It is one of the most common methods used with regard to the ex-partner. And it is unusual if you have not come across that. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.